Hey guys, welcome back to Legend X Studio. We have a new team for our Making It Work series. So this team I've nicknamed Transform. So as you guys can probably guess, the main Pokemon we're using will probably transform. Anyways, so this team, it's gonna be a dual strategy team this week. I wanted to try two things in one to see how it would work. So the team's basically gonna revolve around Ditto. And then on top of that, I wanted to try out a Swamp Pledge combo because Ditto alone can do quite a bit of things, so, I mean, why not add an air strategy in there? So, if you guys don't know much about the Swamp Pledge combo, it's a combination of Fire Pledge plus Water Pledge, there's Water Pledge plus Grass Pledge, and then there's Grass Pledge plus Fire Pledge. They each have their own unique ability, and they do their own unique things. This week we're going to be using the Swamp Pledge. So basically when you get the Swamp Pledge combo to work, basically you have to double target a Pokemon, and when it hits, if it successfully hits the Pokemon, it will create this kind of swamp that slows down the opponent's Pokemon by 75% for, I believe it's 4 turns. So it's a very good thing to have for speed control, and it's also very useful if you have something like one fast Pokemon and then a slow Pokemon with a lot of power, because it uses the speed of the first Pokemon and then the special attack of the second Pokemon attacking to do the combo, because it's kind of a thing they have to do together. So I thought I'd use it because it looked kind of fun. One really cool thing about the Pledge combo is when you get it to work successfully, its power goes from 80 to 160, which if you use it, I've seen people use it at previous regionals with like Charizard and Venusaur. And when they did the Fire plus Grass Pledge, it made a fiery field, which took away 1/8 of your HP. But on top of that, it also pretty much one-shot anything it hit, which was really cool to see. But this week we're doing something different than that. So a cool Pokemon that I thought would be cool to use would be Mega Venusaur and Greninja. The reason I want Mega Venusaur and Greninja is because Greninja is really fast. It's got a base 122 speed, and Venusaur is, although not that fast, it's pretty bulky. It can survive on its own, and it has a pretty decent special attack, which can do a lot of damage. So anyways, moving on to Ditto, the pink blob of anything. Anyways, so the Ditto we're going to be using is an Imposter Ditto. So what Imposter does is it makes it so you can transform once the Ditto is sent in. It's very useful. It gives you the opportunity of using 2 Megas, because you can turn into your opponent's Mega and then also have your Mega out at the same time, which makes it really threatening. And then on top of that, it can hold an item and still use it, so it can be a Mega and hold an item on top of that. One thing I've noticed about using Ditto in previous kind of battles, he's pretty good for switching. You can switch into specific things if you anticipate your opponent's going to attack you a specific way and totally throw them off, or they have a Pokemon that's very threatening to you, and then you figure out it's going to be very threatening to them, so you send out your Ditto and transform into that. So basically when an Imposter Ditto transforms, it transforms into the Pokemon that is across from it. Anyways, for weaknesses and resistances of Ditto, it's kind of adaptable, so you can't really put down what it's going to be weak or resistant to. It's going to take on the form of whatever Pokemon it has and add that weakness or resistance to your team, which turns into a double-edged sword. Okay, next Pokemon we're going to use is Venusaur. So Venusaur is a fairly bulky Pokemon. It's good for setting up the Pledge moves because of its bulk and being able to survive on its own. It has 2 weaknesses, Flying and Psychic. It resists quite a few things. So this is what the team looks like after I add Venusaur on. I add 5 resistances on, which is good, and then Venusaur only has 2 weaknesses, so I want to cover those with the next Pokemon I have, but right now we're kind of just adding Pokemon on to make the combo work. So next Pokemon we have is Greninja. Greninja is a fast Pokemon to set up Pledge, and he also has the Protein ability, which makes him really scary because kind of like Ditto, he can kind of adapt, only Greninja is a little more easier to control, because if you do like Protect, he turns into Normal type because Protect's Normal type move. If he does Dark Pulse, he turns into a pure Dark type, and it's really useful because it makes whatever move he is using a stab. So he has quite a few weaknesses and resistances. I'm not going to go through all of them, you guys can look over those. So this is what the team looks like after I add Greninja on. I have quite a bit of resistances now. I do have a few more weaknesses added on. I haven't covered the flying weakness yet, but I did cover the psychic weakness, and I now have another weakness to bug. So I thought a great Pokemon to add on would be Heatran. So a good thing in Pokemon to have is kind of a core, a Pokemon that can easily switch between one another. By adding Heatran on, it gives me the fire, water, and grass core because Venusaur's grass, Greninja's water, and Heatran's fire. So it kind of gives me a good switching ability between the three of those Pokemon because they cover each other's weakness quite well. Heatran's also a pretty scary Pokemon to deal with overall. He's pretty bulky, and then he is capable of doing a lot of damage. And then on top of that, he's a Steel-type Pokemon, which gives him a lot of resistances. So on the right side, if you look, he has like 10 resistances, which is crazy. And he only has 3 weaknesses, which is really good for my team. So Heatran is going to be a very important Pokemon in switching and making sure my Pokemon survive properly. So after I add Heatran on, I cover most of my weaknesses with the resistances. I almost have a resistance to everything. I now have 2 weaknesses to fighting, and I usually don't have more weaknesses than I have resistances. So I want to try and get another fighting weakness. I also have a weakness to ground, so I want to get that fixed. So I thought a cool Pokemon to add on would be Yanmega. So Yanmega is not really a Pokemon used too often. We did see him early in our making it work Dragalge week when my opponent had a Sableye and Yanmega, and my opponent did Gravity Hypnosis, which was really unusual and cool to see. This Yanmega, however, isn't going to be using that because I am not using Gravity in here whatsoever. So Yanmega covers my ground and fighting weakness, which is good. He also has Speed Boost, which I thought would be a really good ability. And I also noticed he has a higher base speed than Landers. So he's actually able to outspeed Therian form Landers. So if that combined with Hidden Power Eyes, he is pretty much able to one-shot Landers right off the bat. And then another reason I chose Yanmega is I was just curious on what he could do. So he does have a lot of weaknesses and only a few resistances, but you know, it's always fun to try something odd and new. So right here we now have 2 weaknesses to electric, so I want to get another resistance on there. We also have 2 weaknesses to flying and a weakness to rock but no resistance. And rock is a pretty common move, so we want to try and get a resistance to that. So I thought a great Pokemon to add on to this would be Garchomp. So seeing him, I've used him in previous videos. He's a really good Pokemon. You know, I've noticed I haven't even used Landers yet. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Landers, so I like Garchomp a lot more. But anyways, so Garchomp adds a resistance for rock and electric, so there's that. He's also pretty fast and scary to fight. And going against a Landers, he does pretty good. So Garchomp is weak to Ice, Dragon, and Fairy, resist electric, fire, and poison. So adding these in, this is what the team looks like after I have all 6 Pokemon in. Now I don't have an equal number of weaknesses and resistances for flying, but you know, I'm okay with that because flying isn't the most common move. I won't always have an equivalent resistance to a certain typing compared to weakness, so even if I have a few more weaknesses than resistance, it's fine. Okay, now on to the team. So our first Pokemon coming up is Ditto. So Ditto has base 48 stats across. His nature doesn't really matter. I just left it serious on Showdown, and then I just gave him 252 in HP because that's really all that matters. Other than that, I don't need to invest in anything else because once he transforms, he takes on the stats of the Pokemon and their stat changes. So if they have like a +2 in speed and I send out Ditto, he also gets that +2 in speed. I thought a great item to put on him would be Citrus, so he can survive longer, and usually with Ditto I'm probably going to be having him in the back switching in, so he will be taking damage most often, so getting HP back is going to be really important. He's going to have the Imposter ability, and of course he's going to have Transform because he can't learn anything else. Next Pokemon we have is Mega Venusaur. So Venusaur of course is holding the Venusaur. He has ability Thick Fat. Venusaur will have the moves Giga Drain, Sludge Bomb, Grass Pledge, and Protect. And then I just gave Venusaur 252 in HP, 236 in Special Attack, and I gave it 20 in Speed to outspeed something. Yeah. It has 20 speed for some reason. Okay, next Pokemon I have is Greninja. So Greninja is holding Life Orb to get off the most amount of damage, and he also has a Protein ability. One thing to note is when I do the pledge moves with Greninja Venusaur, Greninja's special attack will not be included in the power of the pledge move, and he will also not take Life Orb damage from using the pledge move. Greninja, of course, will be having a Water Pledge. He has Dark Pulse, Ice Beam, and Protect, kind of as a general move spread. He is a timid nature, 4 in HP, 252 in special attack, and 252 in speed. Okay, Heatran. I've had a different team I've been testing outside of this YouTube channel, and I've kind of been testing a substitute Heatran. So this Heatran holds leftovers. It has Flash Fire, has the moves Heat Wave, Earth Power, Substitute, and Protect, because, you know, if I come up against a Heatran and I have Flash Cannon instead of Earth Power, I can't really do much. So Earth Power is a little bit of a better coverage move. This Heatran is modest with 252 in special attack, HP, and 4 in speed. I may want to change its speed to outspeed specific things, but you know, for right now, it's okay. Okay, next Pokemon we have is Yanmega. So Yanmega is holding a Focus Sash. I was kind of debating between Greninja and Yanmega with the Life Orb because they kind of both need it. I may want to just put an Expert Belt on Yanmega, but we'll see as we go. This Yanmega has the ability Speed Boost, like I was talking about earlier. It has the moves Air Slash, Bug Buzz, Hidden Power Ice, and Protect. And then it is a modest nature because even after a speed boost, it can still outspeed Landers because it has a base 95 speed compared to Therian Form Landers, which is 91. So this Yanmega, although it's not very bulky, has 28 in HP, 252 in attack, and 228 in speed, making it fast enough to outspeed Landers. Next, we have Garchomp. So this Garchomp's going to be holding Rocky Helmet. It's going to have Rough Skin, moves Dragon Claw, Earthquake, Rock Slide, and Protect. It'll have 4 in HP, 252 in attack, and 252 in speed like a regular Garchomp, and it's jolly. So, some leads we can have with this team. So obviously we're going to have Greninja Venusaur as a lead to set up those pledge moves. Heatran plus Venusaur may also be a good combo just to kind of as a general attacking move. And then another good combo I wanted to make a note of was Yanmega Garchomp. Not only because Yanmega can outspeed the Landers and just take it out with Hidden Power Ice, but also because Garchomp can do Rock Slide and then Yanmega can add on to that with Air Slash, making a higher chance for my opponent to flinch, which is really good. And then I probably will never lead with Ditto because one thing I want you guys to know about Ditto is you don't get to choose which Pokemon he transforms into if you send him right out. So you want to preserve him till later to see what your opponent has, and then you take advantage of that and transform into something on their team that they would find threatening. So that's how I plan to play with the Ditto. So strengths of the team, this team has a lot of speed, fairly fast Pokemon, a few slower Pokemon, and then Ditto's kind of wherever. Also, for weaknesses, I'm not actually sure how this strategy is going to work, but you know, we're going to find out. A lot of the stuff I'm trying is for fun, to see if it will work, and also to show you guys how to make it work and what kind of adjustments you guys need to make sure that you can make it work appropriately. And then I'm not sure how this team's going to deal with Trick Room too well. Ditto's, I've done practice battles with this, and Ditto is actually pretty fun to use in Trick Room because I just transform into something on their side and then use it against them. So that's a good way of stalling Trick Room with my Ditto. So yeah, this is our team transform.